All right. So, um, being cooped up, like literally everyone is right now. Um, Although it's not really all that different considering the standards of my lifestyle, but irrelevant details, right? Um, Being cooped up, I've been watching a lot more shows. Basically, having more free time to watch shows than average or than usual, I guess I could say. And as a result, there's been more out there. And honestly, like they've been interesting. Like that, you start looking at like things you wouldn't consider watching, or things that maybe you just passed by, thinking, whatever. And then there's stuff that are like, that's in my pocket, right? That's in my zone of comfort regarding programming. So, I mean, I already watched like Castlevania and whatever. Like, I started watching the Altered Carbon second season. I think I got like 2 episodes in and be like, I'm done with this. It's just, the first season was not that good, but to begin with, this one's not that good either. But there's a movie on there, and I want to recommend it to you because I liked it a lot. Which, liked it in a way like, as I'm watching, like most things, it's on there up there, and you're just kind of like doing this while you're at the same time. Not this. I was sitting there, and I was just into it. It was good. It's called The Platform. It's a foreign film, subtitled because, and then dubbed. And the subtitles and the dubs don't, the dub doesn't quite match up like a Funimation. But it was good. It was really good. It's basically the general premise is there's this tower slash pit prison type thing that's vertical, and there's cells, and they're all stacked on top of each other, and there's one through, let's say, 250 something, like there's a lot of them, and the idea is that there's this platform that comes down the middle of all of them. Starts at the top, comes all the way down. They put the food on it, and it's like high class food. It comes down, and the people at the top get first pick. People at the bottom, they get whatever's left, if anything, and you're just randomly kind of set into it from top to bottom, and you stay there. Basically, like, you have 30 days in that slot, and then they put you to sleep, and then they move you arbitrarily along with your cellmate. Fair enough? And it's got some interesting things in it politically. Like, it's got some obvious socialist, communist, capitalist things in it, where the administration has put people in here. They don't have control over it. You have that literally one of the characters is like, we need to tell the people at the top that they need to ration the food so that some of it can get down here to us. And his cellmate says, what are you, a communist? And he's like, I'm not a communist, I'm just thinking rationally. And the guy's like, even if that's the case, they're not going to listen to a bloody communist. He's like, but I'm not a communist, I'm just trying to make sure I have a share in this world, essentially. A share of the food. And like, they don't care about you because you're below them. And you shouldn't care about them because they're above you. And whatever, right? And so, obvious kind of political threading in it. And then there's some religious stuff of talking to somebody, and person's like, well, have you accepted the true faith and things, in order to justify like climbing up into their layer so they can get some better food. I'd say, though, the primary thing I think it's going after is the concept, ideologically or philosophically, of reincarnation. That, see, basically, I mean, you live in a period of time at your layer, in your caste, and then they put you to sleep, and then you arbitrarily wake up in a new caste, regardless of where that is. And interesting thing, like they don't make it explicit as far as what causes you to move up or down, like if it's something that you can earn or that you can lose. But it shows like that they go all over the map, from single digits to down like 200 or more to 100 and mid hundreds to like just all over the place, just one after another. And um, that sometimes they're starving, sometimes they're they have more than enough. They have different people where they as soon as they wake up they murder their counterpart in order to uh, try and make the algorithm essentially to try and get a different cell the next time. Like all this stuff, like it's fascinating. Just there's a lot of stuff in it that can be really criticized and critiqued and analyzed. But I think that's really what it is. If you didn't know, so in Indian/Hindu culture, there's the idea that you reincarnate, and that with your reincarnation, that you have this life, and that in this life you have a caste that you live in, and in that caste you have a dharma, and that dharma is basically what your life is designed to do. So if you're your laborer, your dharma is to labor. If you're a slave, your dharma is to be a slave. If you're a merchant, then your dharma is to be a merchant. And that it would be better for you to do your dharma poorly, be a bad merchant, be a bad laborer, be a bad slave, and die from it, just die of starvation because you're unable to provide yourself or whatever, than it is to do someone else's dharma well. So, and that you by fulfilling your dharma, you can earn kind of like reincarnation points, if you want to call them that, and that you can move up, and that when you move up, and that there are some interesting side effects of it that, and even now still in a lot of Hinduistically informed cultures, that they won't help people that are poor, they won't help people that are like orphaned or so, because they think that it would set them back in their dharma, they would set them back karmically, and that it would make it more difficult for them to earn the good karma that they need in order to get out of that circumstance. So, anyway, I think that it's really more so a hard criticism of that lifestyle, because obviously if you lived in absolute destitution for an entire lifetime, let's say you reincarnate and you are in a really good position, you're going to live it up at the expense of anyone around you. And that's exactly what you see in this kind of example. Someone who's really down low, barely scratching a living, or barely getting anything, will move really high up, and immediately they'll start just gorging themselves, creating the very circumstances that they were just subjected to. So, it also kind of, interestingly, I think the key is contentment, because in it the main character, he reads from Don Quixote. If you've never read it, it's a quality story, Man of La Mancha, and he reads this excerpt at the very end, or towards the end of the book, or the movie, where it's like, it's better for a rich man, the joy of being a rich man is not in having wealth, but in spending it, and spending it wisely. That Paul actually wrote it to the Philippians, that, listen, I've been rich, and I know what it's like to be poor. I've been healthy, I've been sick, I've been in want, and I've been in wellness. I've had all of that. And in all of those things, that I've learned the secret of life is to be content. See, as far as all the world's systems are shown, that even the most ideal, like the quote from Don Quixote, like the most ideal circumstance is just to do more, to give more, to get more, to just try and get, like, just whatever it is you can get, and just to keep it. Just get what you can, and screw anyone that gets in the way. But Paul's like, no, wrote to Timothy, godliness plus contentment is great gain. So I think there's a lot of really good stuff just in the film. It's called The Platform. Check it out on Netflix. Not if you have kids around, because there's some stuff in it that is not really kid friendly, but worth watching, worth thinking about, and yeah.